There are three forms of quintessence in our lives. Gold, representing wealth. Salt, representing food. And now, representing time. In the movie Dead Poets Society, Mr. Keating constantly shouted to his students in Latin. Carpe diem also means to be faithful to the present moment. Dr. Spencer Johnson, the author of Who Moved My Cheese, leaves us with the same message in his book called The Present. The most important gift in the world is neither the past nor the future. The most precious gift in the world is the now. Are you living in the present? Book of Later Han, a Chinese history book on Later Han, has a chapter on biographies of Guo, depicting the following story. There was a poor man called Meng Guang who lived away from home and made a living by selling earthenware steamers. One day, he was carrying the earthenware steamers on his back, and suddenly one slipped off by mistake and broke. He, however, kept going on his way without even looking back. Then highly respected scholar Guo Tai saw this by accident and asked Meng Guang, "Why don't you look back and look for the earthenware steamer?" Meng Guang replied, "It's already broken. What good is it even if I look back?" By his answer, Guo Tai recognized Meng Guang's extraordinary insight, and he asked Meng Guang to devote himself to learning. Meng Guang, by listening to this advice, devoted himself to learning and made his name known throughout the land after 10 years. He rose to the status of Samgong, the equivalent of being a prime minister in today's context. And from here, an idiom, pa zung bulgo, meaning don't look back at the broken earthenware steamer, was created. Meanwhile, in the later period of Shang dynasty of ancient China, a poor scholar called Zhang Zia lived by a seaside town. Before being appointed by King Wen of Zhao, he lived very poorly until he was in his 70s. He didn't care much about making a living, and instead he only read and fished. His wife Ma, who was fed up with such a situation, packed up and moved back to her parents' house. However, later Zhang Zia was appointed by King Wen of Zhao and helped the king unite the country, and eventually became the Duke of the Qi Kingdom. Only then did his ex-wife Ma, who had run away, beg him to move back in. Zhang Zia, who listened quietly, asked her to bring a bucket of water and then empty it by pouring the water on the ground. Afterward, he asked her to refill the bucket with the spilt water, but she couldn't do it. You think it is possible for us to get back together? Spilt water cannot be poured back into the bucket. From this story, the idiom boksu bulbanbun, meaning spilt water cannot be poured back into the bucket, was created. The past is irreversible. There are similar proverbs in Korea as well. A saying with a similar meaning to spilt water is the arrow that left the bow. Meng Guang and Zhang Zia's stories both teach us important lessons. The fact is, even though you are obsessed with the past, something that has already happened is irreversible. In order to move forward, you need to boldly forget what has already happened. It is not easy, but it needs to be done to improve yourself. If Meng Guang had been obsessed with the broken earthenware steamer and cried over it, he would have spent the rest of his life as a steamer merchant. From time to time, we are obsessed with what has already happened in the past and worry about the future while living in the present. We, however, do not live in the past or the future. We just live in the present. A great Russian writer, Tolstoy, tells us this in his book, Wise Thought for Every Day. When is the most important moment for you? What matters the most to you? Who is the most important person to you? The most important moment for you is the present. What matters the most is what you are doing right now. The most important person for you is the one you are meeting right now. Our lives are the sum of present moments. Summing up the present moments is what we call life. Hence, being faithful to the present means that we are being faithful to our lives. For network marketing businessmen who squeezed in the time to listen to a lecture, living in the moment means to faithfully pay attention. Making a choice of what I should focus on right now is being faithful to the present. However, if you waste your time by looking at a cell phone or having other thoughts, you have wasted the present. We definitely need a vivid dream of the future to be successful. However, in order to achieve your dream, you also need to be faithful to the things that are needed now. Because that is what is essential for the future that will soon become a reality.